TNC, Original African Stories. Listener discretion is advised as this podcast may contain violence or strong language. Previously on My Name is A-Zed.
Where are you going?
What kind of question is that? Didn't you hear those gunshots?
And so?
And so?
Any gunshot you hear is not an accident. Think of it as a decision. It's been made.
Apoki! We are going in, guy. You need to come in and join us. You need to relax.
Are you gay?
What?
I said, are you gay?
Do you always stay up this late, or you're going to tell me you stayed up because you were thinking of calling me?
I'm not going to hear the last of that, am I? What about Tommy?
Tommy won't be joining us.
I opened the door, I saw him, Uncle Mufu, and behind him, Debby. I didn't know what to think. I thought I was almost prepared for this moment. I had put together the words, the explanation, and everything. But as Uncle Mufu's eyes pierced through my skin, my thoughts swayed to Mama, and then I just didn't know what else to think.
Azeez,
Uncle, is Mommy okay?
Is that how they do?
Sir? Is she okay?
Yeah, well, okay, but is that how they do? You just come out. Oh, like pay me? Oh my say
Emma Binu, sir.
Kilo shele, What happened? Why did you just leave like that, Even if them steal your motto, you suppose can't tell me so we go find solution.
He knows. Uncle, I didn't know how to...
Oh, they know how. No, Azeez, you now know how, Abi? Oti know how, Nisin. Something like that happened. You suppose can't tell me now. That is how family do. He said, slightly raising his voice. By then, some onlookers had gathered outside my room, and I noticed Debby getting more and more uncomfortable. It wasn't till then that I wondered just what she was doing there. And then Uncle Mufu said, "Oh yeah, close your door. Let us be private." I closed the door, even as our spectators unwillingly began to leave. I turned to resume the baptism I was sure to get. Aburo mi. He turned to look at Debby. I don't even know she always see you. The both of you. You don't know how important family is, ni? Deborah? Family? What? So, if I did not talk about it with your mother, you will not have remembered to tell me you see your brother in school. Debby looked away from Uncle Mufu and twisted her hair as if praying for this drama to end. Even as I gradually began to recollect images of the young Deborah I sometimes saw at my uncle's place back then. She was schooling outside the country at some point, and looking at Debby, it hit me. The semblance, even though the transformation was astounding. Anyway, that is matter for another day. It is very late to find the motto, but we will try. I will talk to my friend DPO and see what can happen. For now, life must go on. Shogbo, so have this. He dropped a bunch of keys in my hand. That's the keys to KJ492 in the park. Pick it from the park and use it for now. I was surprised, beyond words. And even though it was clear my uncle was not going to hear a word of my protest, I managed to get in a word. But Uncle, I can't accept this. My excuse for a protest fell on deaf ears. Uncle Mufu gave me one of those stern, fatherly looks. He then turned to Debby and back to me. He dipped his hands into his pocket, produced some money, which he more or less squeezed into my hands as he said, "Use that to get anything you need. I have a lot of work to do." With that, he hurried out of my room and Debby hobbled after him, giving me that sort of look that said, "I'm sorry," as she walked out. I checked the money Uncle Mufu stuffed in my hands. 10K. Something must not be right. How did Debby, or Deborah, know enough about me on my car to tell Uncle Mufu? And what exactly did she tell him? And why was he being so generous? I know it wasn't like a new car, but that Golf was still very functional. And even I would not take it so lightly if one of my drivers got it stolen, family or not. And we're not even family. It all didn't make sense to me. Well, except that I now knew why Debby always seemed to run from me whenever I saw her at Kassy's place. I needed to think. I got out my bucket and went to have my bath. I got back to the room
and there was Dari. It felt like I hadn't seen him for weeks. He even had a new haircut. He was his usual Efiko self. He bombarded me with questions upon questions, and before I could answer one, he drifted off into the world of engineering. It was just about a week to Christmas, so things were pretty much rounding up in school, so I hadn't really missed much, but exams had been scheduled for late January, barely giving me enough time to breathe once we resumed from the break. I chatted with Dari for a while. I needed the distraction. During our conversation, Fadeke sent me a text. She was just checking on me. Maybe that was what I needed. I called Fadeke, and after talking for a while, I asked if we could see later in the day. She hesitated, but later agreed. We planned to meet up at an eatery close to Medilag, 4 p.m. Nothing major. I slept off for a while after talking to Dari. Then I woke up about an hour before my date. Been a while I had one of those. I freshened up and took a cab to Moremi Park. I dressed very casual, just a t-shirt and a pair of jeans. After serious consideration, I decided to go with the car. But upon getting there, if I wasn't confident enough, I would park somewhere far off and just walk or take a bike. I didn't want to start off by giving the wrong impression. Maybe I already did by not telling her I was a taxi driver or just driver. I didn't even know how to define my current status. By the time I got to the car at High Rise, I wasn't quite sure I wanted to drive anymore. I noticed the car had been reparked. Princess definitely had a spare key. I decided to drop off some of the things I had on me in the car. Actually, the only thing I needed to drop off was the car key Uncle Mufu had given me. I opened the car, dropped the key, and some other documents I found in my wallet in the pigeonhole. A few minutes later, I was in a bus to Ojuelegba. The events of the night before went through my mind again, and I was still somewhat dazed. I tried to focus my thoughts on Fadeke, even as I got closer to the eatery. I was surprised to meet her there, even though she said she had only just gotten there. She wore a simple dress with casual slippers, packed her hair backwards, and it only made her look more beautiful. I teased her about her hair, and she laughed. It seemed so easy to talk to her, and in no time, we were deep in conversation, just about any and everything. We talked about football, Arsenal, her hostel, mine, religion, family, her family. She had 2 siblings, elder brothers, and both were out of the country. There was a little bit of awkwardness when I told her about my mother. She seemed so sad and concerned. I had to get her order so I could change the subject. As I walked to our table carrying my tray, I looked up and noticed Kassy walking into the eatery. I picked up the pace and rushed to the table, hoping Kassy did not spot me. I wasn't prepared for any weird conversations. Kassy seemed decently dressed enough from where I sat, but knowing her, I could not risk it. I tried to look away whenever I noticed Kassy looking in her direction, but a part of me was very sure she saw me. Kassy picked up her order and left. I had been so worried about Kassy spotting me, I didn't think about Fadeke until she asked,
"Is that an old friend?"
Eh? Fadeke caught me unawares. Well, more like employer.
Employer.
It's quite a long story. It's not for today at all. We went back to our meal after that, and then I asked when her birthday was. Surprisingly, she said next Sunday, Boxing Day. We spoke about that for a while. She was going to turn 22, and she really had no plans for the day. I was considering traveling to Ibadan for the holidays, but hearing Fadeke say she didn't have plans seemed like an opportunity was being presented to me. I enjoyed her company so much, and I knew I could do with a lot more of it, especially if it helped me get my mind off every other thing. Just then, my phone rang. It was Princess. I thought about not picking it, but then I was in one way or the other working for her still, so I had to. Hello?
A-Zed, where are you?
I'm out of school, but not far.
Please, can you come and get me now? It's urgent, please.
She cut the call. Quite unusual. I looked at Fadeke then, and before I could speak, she asked if I had to go. My answer, yes, reluctantly. I did not want to leave. I was having so much fun with Fadeke, it only seemed logical for me to cook up some sort of excuse for Princess and stay. But she did say it was urgent. Probably one of her many ridiculous trips to some party or some customer's house. I wondered then why Princess put herself through all that madness. She seemed like a well-brought-up girl from a rich family, and brilliant too. What else could she possibly want? What did she get from this life? This ridiculously dangerous and stupid lifestyle? I knew it wasn't supposed to be my business, but after experiencing the previous night and returning without Tomi, reality hit home. Maybe Uncle Mufu had given me a way out. I could take the new car and thank her for all she has done for me and return to my old controlled lifestyle and hope for the best with Mama. Maybe, just maybe. I broke out of my thoughts as Fadeke hugged me. I promised to call her later so we could pick up our conversation. I made it back to high rise, and by then, I had made up my mind to give Princess just one more chance. If this trip involved any form of Nollywood or Hollywood drama, it would be my last. I had barely gotten into the car when I saw Princess walking through the door. Wherever we were going, she really wanted to get there fast. She looked extra exposed too. Her dress was backless and very revealing. She made an effort to cover her body with the scarf she held, but it did very little. She got into the car, the backseat this time. Without a word of greeting, she asked me to head towards Lekki Phase 1. As I drove, I looked back at her and my level of irritation began to rise. I just couldn't take it anymore. Why was she doing this to herself? I held my thoughts and drove on. As we approached Lekki, Princess directed me, and as she did, I realized the streets looked very familiar. I thought to myself, we were heading towards Chief's house. Chief's house? Ridiculous! I tried not to say anything until I was sure. Lo and behold, Princess asked me to park just outside the compound. As she got out of the car, she told me to come back for her by 11 p.m. But I had had it with her. I got out of the car and stopped her. Why? Princess, why? Why do you do this to yourself? She held back her words and listened on. It's not bad enough you are ruining your life with all these people and unnecessary places you visit. Now you are back here. To him. Remember how he almost got us killed? Just because of what? Coke? How much did he offer you to get you back? How much did he offer you to get you to forget so soon? How much?
How dare you?
It was faster than my eyes could see. It was a strong slap on the right side of my cheek.
How dare you, Azeez? You know nothing about me or my life.
You're right. I know nothing. Nothing except what I've experienced in the past few weeks. And you know what? It stinks, Princess. Can you not smell trouble?
And you're suddenly an expert on trouble detection? I'm sure you predicted everything that happened on every single one of our trips. I'm not a child. This is my life. And how I choose to live it is up to me. You can either fit in or fuck off. Forget about coming back to pick me up. I will find my way home.
She shoved me aside and walked towards the gate. Seconds later, she disappeared into the compound. I just wanted to leave the car and head back home. But that wasn't me. I was so angry. I got into the car, slammed the door, and drove off. I would drop off the car with a note telling her I wasn't coming back. As I sped down Kingsway Road, my phone rang, and I hesitated to pick it as I thought it was Princess calling to apologize or something. I answered the call. Hello?
Hello, good day. Am I out to Mr. A-Zed?
Yes, who's speaking?
They call me Senior.
Senior? Oh, Senior. How did you...
Forget that. I have a message for Princess. I can't seem to get across to her. Please let her know that I have gotten her a +2 for the event on the 26th. But she has to confirm latest by tomorrow.
He cut the call. I was so angry and confused. I couldn't make sense of what he told me. I was sick and tired of this world, and all I wanted to do was get out. I drove faster, and soon after, I was back at the high-rise. I parked the car, and as I stepped out to lock the doors, I remembered the keys I had in the pigeonhole. I went back in and took out the key, along with the documents. I needed a piece of paper to write my resignation note. I looked through the pieces of paper I had with me, and I realized I had picked some additional ones from the pigeonhole. I flipped open one of the pieces and noticed it was a medical test results sheet. It was addressed to Adejuwon P. George. I scanned through the tick boxes and noticed only the HIV box was checked. I looked at the bottom of the page, and the result? Positive.